Hey, how's it going? Ronin man here. Walking down the street in Pensacola. Time and I, we just got here from Austin. So a nice drive yesterday actually. Had some great crawfish. That was fucking awesome. Yeah. Kind of stopped in the middle of nowhere. Found like a real local. Time found a real fucking local, like you get, a pound of crawfish for $3.25, And it was real. It was great. It was like one of these moments in the trip where you really see like the local shit. It was great, actually. The whole experience was good. The crawfish were good, but the girl sitting in the back, the local girl just sitting there serving us. It's a real small place. It was like very simple, right? Wooden chairs and stuff. Obviously, all locals, right? And great. These are the kind of experiences. People say like, why travel, right? And I understand that. It makes sense, but it makes sense logically, but it doesn't make sense emotionally because there's a lot to see in this world, and you kind of don't know what you're missing until you get out there, This has been a great trip, It's been tons of memories, fucking epic memories. But if someone tries to categorize these memories, like, okay, what's the value? $5.75 that value. What's, what did you really learn? If you get into these things, then it all becomes confusing. But I can say that I feel really great, and the trip has been really fantastic. And there's tons of fresh, strong memories that are going to pop up, I know, afterwards, because they're already popping up. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying seeing America, actually.
For the boat?
On my own, on my own. Not on some kind of business thing or whatever, not with my family, I'm just going on this tour. I'm doing it the way I want to do it. And it's fucking awesome. It's really awesome because you don't realize how many things you do in life just because you were trained to do them a certain way, right? You just kind of go about life, even travel is the way you've been trained, right? So it's kind of on this topic, right? Being trained, right? So, okay, well, let me hit you with this one. So I was out back in the yard. I'm sitting there thinking this morning when I woke up, and I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen today. We got to Pensacola. The guy we're staying with, Sean, is out at work. He's going to be back at 4. So we're kind of sitting there going, okay, we don't even know where we are. We came here at night, so we were just walking around the neighborhood right now. And it's I literally don't know what's going to happen today. I have no idea, right? And I don't even know if we're near the beach. I don't know if we're near some kind of city. We're just walking around and we're going to drive around, right? And it reminded me of when I was a kid, because when I was a kid, I used to wake up and I never knew what was going to happen. Because my family, we did do some traveling. We'd travel in the car, we'd sleep and we'd camp and stuff and stay in neighbors' houses and stuff. And then it also reminded me of other things like when you wake up and something's going on. So you remember when you were a kid, think back when you were a little kid and you kind of wake up and all of a sudden you smell a different smell in the house. You kind of go into the kitchen and the women are all seriously doing something, right? They're all doing something, whatever it is, getting a turkey ready or something, and everybody's you got to do this. Okay, go over there, make sure this is done. Okay, the tree needs to be over there. We need to, oh, don't do that. No, that's bad. No, don't say that. No, don't do that. And wear these clothes, and you're kind of you're just kind of basically they're teaching you their traditions. They're teaching you some kind of Halloween or Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, Hanukkah, whatever the tradition is going on, but you don't know yet. You're a kid, right? So in a sense, you're seriously blue pill, because you're saying you're just taking on this tradition that you don't even know, right? You're just you don't even care about, but you're suddenly all serious about carrying the turkey or cutting the turkey a certain way or doing this or candles on the table or whatever the fuck it is, right? And it's but at the same time, there's a real enjoyment to that too, to just kind of being there and just being one of many, one of many, not being in charge, not being, just being along for the ride, just hey, I'm here, I'll do stuff. What needs to be done? Oh, turkey needs to be carried over there. Okay, well, turkey needs to be carried over there. This needs to be cut, that needs to be bought, that needs to be put over there. And you're just kind of part of humanity, right? There's something good about that. And it's not blue pill. It's that's a lot of enjoyment of life comes from experiencing other people's lives. And that's what happens when you travel, is you kind of just get a window into other people's ways of living. And so, in a sense, you could say you're doing what other people want you to do, But it's the good part, right? It's the dipping your toes in the water of life, where you're like, I'm going to experience this person's lifestyle for a few days, for a few minutes. I'm going to, like, I think for myself, like, one of the most enjoyable things for me has been, just things like this. Like, I had a girlfriend who was, like, from near Pakistan, right? And so I would go to her family house, and then they would always kill a lamb when I came over, for me, because I eat a lot. So they'd make noodles and kill lamb, and they'd be like, the lamb would be like, they'd get the lamb, like organic lamb, just cruising around in the countryside. And it was like, just watching this whole thing, it was like minus 50 in the winter, and it was 1 billion degrees in the summer. And it was very, very simple life, And they would just take me into their life, just like, sit over here, do this. Like, they treated me normal, which was great, We got to get off this road. It's too noisy. Okay. So like, it's very enjoyable to, in a sense, be blue-pilled for the day. It's kind of like, what I think doesn't matter. I'm just going to go along with whatever the fuck is going on. Like, if there's a holiday going on, I'm going to do whatever I'm supposed to do, If somebody wants me to carry this thing, I'm going to do that, And if this is, like, super important to do, if it's important to be quiet at this funeral, I'm going to be quiet at this funeral, right? I'm going to experience this moment with other people. And I think it's like, I think being really, this sounds weird, but to be really red-pilled, you got to allow yourself to be blue-pill. Because the way that you, see, the thing is, what happens is you can build a fortress around your own life. You can build a fucking fortress. Your house can become your own prison, where you have it set up exactly the way you want. And you have, like, the wall around, you have the Xbox, you've got the right stereo, you've got the right whatever the fuck it is you need, the weights are there, whatever it is, the boat, the jet ski is just right near the water. The clothes that fit you just right are there, the colors that match, and this and that, and, like, the boxing ring or whatever it is that you like to do, the gun shooting range is right there, or, like, it's legal to do whatever it is that you want to do, and you can just do it, and it's practical, and it's boom, boom, boom. And what happens is, this has been my experience, is I've found that I build my own prison when I do this. I build a prison, and I have very, very rich, I have some very wealthy people around me. Also very poor too, people around me, but the rich people are very interesting, because what happens is that I found that most of them fall into the same trap of building a prison, where they build a prison of things that they want to do around them, kind of like a red pill prison. It's exactly what they want. It's exactly the right height for them. Like, they'll tear out the counters and make them the right height for themselves. And what happens is, in the end, they end up being alone. Because it's like, do you know anybody like this? Do you know what I'm talking about? This is, like, very real thing. It's like, it's so perfect for you that there's nobody else there. It's like, it's just your stuff. It's totally your way of doing it. It's like, and in some ways, it's awesome, right? It's super smart to be rational, logical, and cut out things that you don't like to do, and to not allow yourself to be influenced by people. In the other sense, it's kind of like, I remember I was in Indonesia once, and we were at this, like, really cheap place in the jungle back in the 80s. And the lady said, there was like these inner tubes, right? And there was a huge jungle river in front of the thing, like, just going through the jungle in Sumatra. And there was these inner tubes, and it said, like, in Indonesian currency, it said, like, $1.25 rental. And I said, well, what do we do with them? She said, well, just jump in the inner tube and go down the river. And it's like total jungle, right? And I'm like, where do we get off, She's like, oh, just, she was like, they're super casual. Like, they don't even care if you die at all in third world countries, because death means nothing to them, right? And so she's like, oh, just keep going until you see the bridge. And I'm like, till we see the bridge. And she's like, yeah, get off there and then take the bus back. So I'm like, okay. So we just jumped in the fucking river with our inner tubes. And I started going down, and as soon as we started, this rock, that bone by your ass, that like hard bone, like I got a major blast into that bone with a rock, and that motherfucker hurt, man. I mean, it would fucking hurt, right? If it was U.S., right, people would be suing over shit like that because it could have broken the bone or chipped it or whatever, like serious injury, right? Bam, hit the bone. I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? And then the next thing I reach over my back and there's a massive frog inside my shirt. I mean, this is the biggest frog I've seen before or since. I mean, it was massive, right? And I didn't know I thought it was a snake, and I pulled it out. And it was this huge frog, like massive, like I don't even know how heavy it was. And then it just looked at me, and then it kind of like lumbered off of my hand into the water. And I was like, oh my God, that could have been a fucking cobra or whatever, you know? This is the real jungle. Like, this is not, you're not in Kansas anymore, right? So I'm like, holy God. And so then I look down the river, and the river starts to break into different rivers. So my friends went the other way because they couldn't control the inner tube, and I went the other way around the island. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get lost. So I swam to the side, and I just started walking through the jungle to get across the island. And I'm walking across the jungle. Get this. So it's 89. I'm walking across the jungle with bare feet. There's snakes everywhere. There's tigers. There's Sumatran tigers. There's all kinds of shit there. And I'm like, wait, this is not very smart, you know? I'm like, this is not very smart, you know? Like, the island's pretty big, right? And my friends are going fast down the river too. So I'm like, oh man. But I'm like, what am I going to do? Walk back now, you know? There's just as many snakes behind me as there are in front of me. So I'm like, just keep going. So I walked all the way to the other side, jumped in the river, and my friends are gone, right? So I just went down the river, and I started, and the river was a powerful river. And it took me into a bunch of trees. Like, it bunked my head on the fucking log on the side of the road, on the side of the river, you know? And like I scratched my face on the thing. And eventually what happened was I caught up to my friends. They were kind of lollygagging around in this like mellow part of the river where it's like almost like a little beach in the middle of the jungle, you know? And it was just like literally us in this river and jungle all around us. Just imagine that. We have no idea where we're going. And it was really fucking exciting, you know? You could say it's blue pill in a way because I was doing what she said. I just kind of like was going along with the program, but it was fucking awesome, man. One of my best memories. I actually have a better memory in the jungle, which I could talk about some other time if somebody reminds me, the orangutans and the cobra. But this was just awesome, you know? Like, this was, I tell you, listen, man, this is fucking living. Like, what I'm talking about now, I was alive. And very few people can even say they were ever alive in their whole life. Like, I was fucking alive at this moment. I mean, I was like brimming with energy and life, you know? That's the only way I can say it. I was excitement and like utter thrill, you know? The rock hit my ass, the bone, and the snakes and the fucking, you know, orangutans everywhere. You can hear all these jungle noises, you know? Like, there's some serious shit going on. Plus, it was getting towards sunset, too, which made it even more crazy, you know, because it's like, oh my God, if we get caught in this, like, I had no idea where the bridge was. I was even thinking, fuck, maybe the bridge was one of the tributaries or one of the other directions, right? Maybe it wasn't even like where we are. Who fucking knows, right? Like, I have no idea. The lady could be crazy. Like, I had no idea. Anyway, so we went down the river for a fucking pretty long time. And then sure enough, fucking we found a fucking bridge. Got out of the bridge, bus picked us up, took us back to the place. You know, they knew where to take us, you know. So it was in the middle of the jungle, no problem, you know. But I think a lot of life is kind of like that, is being willing to be carried down the river. So I say to you guys, like, this is a problem I see with a lot of red pill guys, is that they get too planny. They're just planning and controlling too much of their life. I understand where it comes from, because in some ways it's much better than being automatron or a fool that's just carried along, you know, by life. You know, like, oh, funeral's happening, I'm all of a sudden sad. Here's the truth, guys. Most funerals, if you're honest with yourself, at least for me, is you don't really give a fuck. Let's go away from that noise, though. You know, like most funerals, do you even care? Like, when most people die, you don't care. It's time to get honest about this shit. That's what I want to do. I want to allow you, listen to my voice, listen to what I'm saying, and see if this is true for you. But what I think, and what I experience in my life and my friends and people around me, is that you can't care about very many things at once. Like, you just have limited amount of things you can care about. You cannot care about everything. Like, there'll be these memes online, right? Let's say there's a terrorist attack in Paris like a couple years ago, whatever. And then people said, people would post like, they're very concerned about Paris, or they would post the Parisian flag or whatever. And then other people would say, well, there was like a worse accident in this other country. How come you don't care about that? And I understand what they're doing, what they're saying. There is validity to what they're saying. Okay, don't get me wrong. I travel a lot, so I know. Like I actually have more of the things I've cared about are things outside the U.S. and outside U.S. memes. And I do care about shit in Africa and stuff like that, because I'll go to places like that and then I'll actually know the people. And so that allows me to care, right? Because I actually know something. You can't care because you want to care. You can't love somebody because you want to love somebody. You can't be sad because you want to be sad. That's bullshit. You cannot do it. You can fake it. And that's what most people do. Their whole life is just one big fake. It's one big fucking fake. It's one big fucking fake caring. So you suddenly, now you care about fucking whatever. Let's say you care about Antifa, you care about Black Lives Matter, you care about global warming, you care about what do you call it? Let's say you care about a heritage building being torn down. You care about birds dying or whatever, some special bird, And maybe, what I'm not saying that these things are not real and like people don't care about them. Of course, everything is real. Everything. There's somebody who's really, it's a big deal to them. Go a little slower. But the thing is that what I think is, okay, look, let's just say there's a million things that you could care about. Let's just put a number on it. There's like a million serious issues, okay? All of them serious. Somebody needs a liver. There's a river overflowing someplace. Some company's going bankrupt. Some old man that's really nice was lied about and he's in prison. There's some neighborhood that was super safe and now it's being ruined by like one particular company is poisoning the water and, people are dying of cancer, this kind of thing, right? So let's say there's a million of these things. And now there's actually a lot more. But let's just say there's a million. Well, the common thing in society now is that this is not easy to put into words, but I'm going to try to do it. I'm going to try to put it into words for you guys. Is basically everybody around you is lying about what they care about. Okay? You need to have more confidence in yourself. You are a healthy, powerful, intelligent, flawed human being. What you are capable of is very near to what most people are capable of in the world. So if somebody tells you, let's say somebody tells you, well, let's put it in beers. Let's say you're a beer drinker and then someone says, I can drink 55 beers in an hour. Probably not, right? He probably can't drink 55 beers in an hour because that's just too many beers, But it's easy to believe that when it comes to, maybe with beers you don't believe it because you're like, wait a second, show me. I want to see you drink these beers, right? But let's just say he cares about this issue and that issue. And he posts on his Facebook that he cares. But the thing is, I think maybe in your life you can only care about maybe 2 things or 3 things at once, maybe. Like maybe at the most, where you really care about something, And like for me, like a lot of things I care about, like you can't even imagine. Like I really care about certain political issues in Asia that nobody even knows about. Like I really do. That's the thing that I get up in the morning, I watch a video, about some geopolitics, India and China and this and that. I really resonate with that because I was involved, I was there, so. But the things I care about, like, it's very easy to think of me as somebody who doesn't care because when you put me in a new fishbowl, right? When you're put in a new fishbowl, whether it's the country you came from or someplace you moved to or, some new, let's say, tech environment or whatever it is, like suddenly you just can't force yourself to suddenly care about things. Like, I think the way to get honest with yourself about this shit is just to totally realize that it's all fake. Almost everything around you when it comes to caring is fake. I mean, like really, take it very easy because even the nicest people that you really care about or that you really nearby you, close by, let's just say, people you care about, your family, not just people like some idiot on Facebook, but they are full of shit. Like they can only care, I don't know how many things, let's say 2 at a time, 3 at a time. And one of them is going to be something real simple, like their tooth or something, right? Like something really personal for them. Maybe they have hemorrhoids, or maybe they have a tooth. Maybe they have, they need to fix the brakes in their car or something, or they need to do something like practical. They need to do a call, or they need to finish a paper or something, right? They really care about that at the moment. And maybe they're like thinking about like one of their friends that they're worried about or something, right? And then maybe they have like one geopolitical issue that like it's on their mind, where they're like, oh yeah, shit, I really am unhappy about this change. I really want to change this, or they could care in a good sense. Like, I'm so happy that, that this happened. I'm so glad that this social change occurred or whatever, like the society went along these lines or whatever the fuck it is, So you can care about good things that are good too, right? Not just bad things. But you care, right? You really fucking care. Like, you shed a tear. And I think the way to think is to basically clean slate, clean desk. Basically just figure everybody's lying, okay? Not because they're bad people, but just like a kid who wakes up in his parents' house, and everybody's basting the turkey and running around lighting candles and shit. We are trained from birth just to kind of follow along with whatever tradition's going on. And then we kind of convince ourselves that we care, right? I think a lot of life is just realizing that, just that you can't care. Like, okay, here's the thing. Don't start with somebody else. Like, don't think, okay, those guys don't care about global warming. Those guys don't care about men's issues. Those guys don't care about people dying in wars. Those guys don't. No, start with yourself. Just be honest with yourself about what you care about. Start to clear your mind. Don't be afraid. Because the thing is we're afraid that we're not good people. That's at the heart, you're afraid. The reason why you want to pretend like you care is because you're like, oh, if I didn't care about this, right? Like, whatever it is, like a family member dying or something, right? Like, the truth is, you probably don't give a fuck about a lot of things. Like, even though you should or whatever, like, you might not have a strong feeling about something, right? And that's like the caring thing, right? So if you start with yourself and you're honest with yourself, I think this is one of the main ways that you don't run around like an angry person in life, is because you look at yourself first and you say, wait a second. Secretly, you're like, God damn, I really don't care. I really don't care if I know we're all going to die. And if that person dies, it's like, fine. Like, I'm not going to shed a tear on that person, right? I'm not going to. Now, you might surprise yourself and suddenly start caring, But what I'm saying is, like, just being honest with where you are today, and what you care about. And I think when you are really, really honest with yourself, you'll realize there's only a couple things. And when you do that, it will make it easy for you to start to see through the matrix, I think. Because you'll realize that you're supposed to be patriotic. You're supposed to care about, the dollar reserve or whatever. You're supposed to care about, what George Washington, or you're supposed to care about, some tribe that, beat another tribe, or you're supposed to care about the 4th of July, or you're supposed to care about your grandfather. You're supposed to care about the local construction in your area, or, like heritage this or a tree. I know people, I know one particular person that the only thing she cares about really is trees. That's it. It's the only thing. You break it down, it's just trees. That's all she cares about. Like, if you cut down a fucking tree, she is going to be pissed off for like 30 years, this woman. Like, that's it. Like, trees are it for her. And I'm not, like, she's honest. Like, she just cares about trees, right? She's like, she will go around the neighborhood and just like one tree, there was a tree here, but they got this bug that's very easy to get rid of, but they cut it down. Or they cut down that tree because the neighbor was complaining about the view. Or they cut down the tree here because it blocked their ocean view, or whatever it is. And then she just is disgusted with all this. Like, she's like, trees should be planted, more trees, And then she really cares about fucking trees. And it was interesting to see that was basically it. Like, that's really all she cares about is trees, You break it down, she cares about food and stuff, but basically trees, that's mainly what she's concerned with. And so I would start to look at yourself kind of honestly in that light. Is like, what are my trees? Like, what is the thing? I mean, we're talking stupid shit here. We're all stupid, right? Our brains, we are primitive. We are animals. We are just fucking animals. We're like bugs or fucking whatever. You know, we're not like, you know what I mean? Like, don't accept that you're going to die. Accept that you're just a simple thing. And your brain is limited. And, you know, when it comes to this stuff, if you can accept your own limitations, the only way you can be red pill, okay, is by red pilling about yourself first. Okay, what everybody does with red pills, they're like, oh, I'm going to red pill by realizing women are this way, or by realizing the government's this way. No, red pill the only way you can really red pill in life is by realizing who you are. Right? It starts with you, because when you understand that you don't really care, now you don't have to tell anybody. Because most people cannot be this honest. So you're at a level, you're down, and right now you're way down in the center of the earth, right? You're at the earth's core, melting, you know. Rocks are liquid at that level, right? And most people never go down there. So they will never understand what you're talking about. So that's fine. And you don't have to. You are not a, what do you call it? You're not like a robot. Someone asks you a question, you have to answer immediately. This is a lot of this is your private thoughts, right? But just realize what you really care about. Go down to the center of the earth, but you know, like I said, where the rocks are liquid, right? It's that hot, and there's that much pressure, right? And just down to the core of your being, and say, what do I care about? Like what, you know, like I've been saying, I care about men and stuff. Like you probably don't, you know, you probably really don't care about other guys, you know, somewhere else, you know, and. The thing is I think, here's the sugar, is that you can't do what you can't do. So there's no wings going to come out of your ass and going to fly you over to Paris tomorrow night, right? It can't happen, you know. And so you are incapable of doing some things, right? So you can't care about more things by lying. Like by fooling yourself and being stubbornly lying to everybody in your whole life from the next day, from today till the day you die. You can just lie to everybody, but it doesn't make you care about more things. In fact, as you might guess, it makes you care about less things. Why? Well, because you're wasting energy. Right? Whenever you waste energy, you know, then you have less energy for other things, right? So if you like smoke cigarettes at 2 a.m, you know, stay up till 3, that extra hour, you know, that doesn't allow you to have peaceful time the next day, right? Because you're tired, right? So the being honest with yourself, realizing that you cannot possibly care, and just laughing at yourself, all the things you pretended like you care about in your life, you know, just realize like you don't even care. Like, and again, it's not the judgment. This is like the kind of the earth. It's like realizing the truth. There's no judgment. You're just looking at yourself. You're saying, wait, I don't. You're looking down and you're like, I don't care. Like, it's not what should I do about it or what does it mean? No. It's just like, is it real? Is it there? Is it? No. There's no emotion. I don't really care about that. So once you do that, if you allow yourself to stay at that level of honesty for a while, it will clear your desk in your mind, you know, where you're able to like realize that you really don't. And I'm not going to say what will happen, but I'll just give you a little hint. Is once you realize these kind of truths, you'll kind of wake up the next day and walk around and realize that a lot of energy is being wasted, you know, because you're lying to yourself. You're pretending like you care about all these things that it's good to care about. I'm not saying they're not good issues. I'm not saying they're like important or whatever. It's just like, you just don't care. It's like, you just, it's not there. Like, it's like, and the other people, it's not there either. That's the thing. See, here's the thing, is that more honest you get, like I said, you'll have more energy, you'll have more clarity, and you will actually be able to care about some things more, because you're no longer full of shit. Like, it's the full of shitness that makes you wasting energy, so you can't feel what you feel, right? You know, because you're just like pretending like you feel about this, pretending like you feel about that, because you think, well, probably in your mind, there's probably a bunch of excuses like, well, what happens if I don't do that? What if I don't care about my mom dying? Like, what if I don't care about the earth exploding? What if I don't care about the government falling? What if I don't care about the dollar, this, or I don't care about things I should care about? Like you might not care about your dog. I don't know. You might not really care about the planet. You might not care about, I don't know. Just pick something that you're supposed to care about, and you might not care about it, right? So by allowing yourself to go into that level, it will bring you a peace, and you will see the world totally differently, because you'll realize that, like so many things, this is like a lot of people don't even care about their own children. Like, they just don't really care. Like, there's not real, and they're not bad people either. You only have a few things you can care about, so treasure those few things. Like, take your energy and like get rid of all the stuff you don't care about. And here's the thing. Like, okay, let's put it this way. I've said this guy example before. I like it. There was an old man in Japan, and he lived down the street from me, and he hated foreigners, and he lived right down the street from me, and I was just his neighbor, and I would kind of walk by his house, and he kept the house very clean. Like, he would, little broom, and he kept everything out front, cleaning out the garbage. I would leave my garbage. That's where you leave your garbage, in front of his house, and he would always make sure everything was separated with cleaning. And the guy did not like foreigners, And somebody said to me, "Oh, I was like talking about him in a nice way or something." They said, "Oh, he doesn't like you. He hates foreigners." And I said, I just thought about it. At first, I thought, "Oh, I should not like him because he doesn't like me." He's like racist. He doesn't like me. And then all of a sudden, I realized, like, I actually like the guy. He wouldn't even want me to like him. I like the guy. I was watching the way he takes care of his house, his wife, the way he takes care of his, little street there. I like that. I don't know if I would like it if somebody else did it, but I like the way he did it. It was nice. He was very human, Even though the guy didn't like me, right? He didn't like me at all. So I think the thing is that what you like or care about, there was just some peace about the guy. You know what I mean? I think that's the thing. That's the thing. It's not do I like you? Like some people will say, like, like, if you like my pictures, like on Facebook or whatever, here's like a ridiculous example, but if you like or LinkedIn or whatever, then I'll like yours. If you give me a recommendation, I'll give you a recommendation. I just cannot understand that kind of thing, because the odds that two people would recommend each other are probably 1 in a trillion, right? Like, that should never happen. Like, there's the odds are zero almost, that you're gonna like somebody else as much as they like you, and so you're just gonna write a fake recommendation for somebody. I don't do that. I don't like that. It's just true that most people don't care about you. They just don't. And then then you look at yourself and you say, what is caring, right? Some things that I do care about, I wonder if I even should care about. Because a lot of life is just living, in a good way, like that old man. Whatever he cared about, you know what I mean? He just got up every day, fucking cleaned the street, kept it tidy, and there was no crime around there, I mean, Tokyo was not a crime-filled place, but still, the criminals, they look at the area and they say, do these people care? If they don't care, then shit starts going downhill, right? If they don't care about their area, right? Then people, like, the broken window theory. I've heard it debunked, but I think there's some truth to it for sure, You notice, oh, okay, these people care, okay, I won't, I don't want to ruin that thing, whatever that is, that kind of goodwill or whatever there is there. Even like criminals, they want to keep some things, they don't want to ruin everything, right? Very few people want to destroy the whole earth and all life on the planet, They just kind of want to, they're angry and they want to get back at people or whatever, But they might care about trees or whatever, So I think that the whole thing is, like, when it comes to death, right? Denial of death is that most of the things that we do in life, in this book, Denial of Death, Ernest Becker's brilliant fucking book, is you realize that most of the things that we do is to deny that we're going to die. So we build a company, right? Or we make a lot of friends, or we make a playground, or we plant a tree, or we have children, or whatever, because we basically, or we believe in like a religion, right? In religion, most religions, you're either going to come back, you're not going to die, or you're going to go to some other nice place where you're not going to die, right? So it's a belief that you're not going to die. Most religions, I'm not going to say your religion because I don't know your religion, but most religions, it's a way to not die. So, you're not going to die if you believe in this religion because you're going to be saved or whatever. You're not going to die, right? But that's the same reason why Bill Gates would build a company. He says, well, after I'm dead, people are going to remember me, and people will remember the name Bill Gates, right? But I think there's limited value to that, personally, and after you're dead, I mean, obviously it can be debated if there's even any value at all, right? And then you could get nihilistic and say, what's the value of anything, right? And I'm not saying that. I don't know. People will often, when I go into these deep things, they'll make a comment about nihilism or something. And I think you really need to, one, people are afraid of looking inside. So they talk about this kind of thing because they don't want to see. They don't care about most things, and they don't want to see the truth of life. So it's like nihilism is supposedly when you don't care about everything, right? And then, so they say, well, I think a lot of people are so afraid of themselves. They think at the core they're bad. So if I pretend like I care about these things, maybe I will be a good person. Like there's a chance that I could be a good person. If I fake my whole life, if I fake everything about my life, if I fake concern about every issue that comes up, if I put a French flag and then every flag for every movement that comes along, whatever it is that I'm supposed to do, if I do all these things, if I Google, every time someone dies, I Google what to say when someone's father dies. If I Google that and I try to pick the best words and I tell my friend the best words, and then I put the flag up for whatever it is going on, and if I stand up for, then I will be a good person. I think this is the kind of the heart of it. It's not blue pill, red pill. It's like people are afraid they're bad at the core. And I would say to look down in your core, just think of the core of the earth. I think the core of the earth is good. It's just the core of the fucking earth. It's just what it is. All the pressure's down there. All the heat is there. It's enormous pressure of gravity and everything. And it causes so much heat that the rocks are all melted down there, right? And then they come up in volcanoes, right? They spurt up and then new rocks are on the surface again, right? That's all the rocks that you see you're walking on. They all down were at the center of Earth at one point. And then they kind of sucked in eventually through an earthquake or a movement. And then they went down there and got melted again. They got stuck up again. And the oldest rocks on the planet are the places where the volcanoes have been the longest time there hasn't been a volcano, right? But it'll change again, guaranteed. Death Valley will become new at some point, who knows when. But so I think it's okay. The center of the earth is okay. And stop. If I think the heart of it, of red pill and blue pill and all this denial of death and all this stuff is that people think they're bad. So they're gonna basically fake out themselves and everybody around them until the day they die, and then that's the best they can do. There you did it. You fooled it. You lied your whole life to everything, and you lied to yourself, and you lied to yourself very seriously too. You literally fooled yourself every moment of every day until death. Successful life done, right? I'd say no. Is just to start to be honest with yourself, and don't be afraid, because the reason why people are talking about nihilism is because they think at the core that if they don't care about these things, they're bad, right? And so I think the denial of death is kind of the realization, A, that we're going to die, B, that it sucks. Okay, one of the key things in that book is that death sucks. It totally fucking sucks. Like, there's no good thing about it. You know what I mean? Like, you realize you're going to die. Like, that sucks, and that's part of being a man, is just accepting that some things totally suck, right? The idea that everything you learned is going to be lost. The idea that people won't remember you in a few generations. The idea that all your lies to yourself never amounted to a hill of beans, and never changed anything. In fact, all they did was waste time when you could have been actually living, right? And enjoying your life. And the more healthy you are, the more likely you're going to do things that other people would say have meaning, right? Let's say you got diabetes and you're really sick and you're in a wheelchair and there's a kid out in the road about to get hit by a car. You're not going to be able to save him because of your laziness and all that, right? You won't be able to save him. Whereas if you're healthy, you might be able to run out there and fucking grab that kid and get him off. I'm not saying it has any deep meaning in the end, but it does, maybe. Maybe this kind of things like keep yourself. This is why being unblackmailable is so important. Is you're always ready. Like I'm like a soldier. I want to be like a soldier who's always ready to go to war, no matter what fucking happens. All water stops, the pipes stop, the fucking electricity stops, money stops. You know, they don't stop making knives for survival. They stop. It's not a survival. It's just like I'm always ready to go because like no matter what happens, I'm okay. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do the things that kind of instinctively are. I think if there could be anything good, right? If you could say good or bad, I'd say, yeah. I mean, you are good. Okay, that's the core, right? So maybe you care that the kid's going to get hit by a car, even though you don't know the kid. You know, you care. Now, it's not that it really matters, but you care for whatever reason. There's some instinct in you that cares, and you run out there and you grab the kid and pull him out, and you're like, you maybe don't think this deeply about it, but you're like, God, I'm glad I'm not, fat as fuck, and like I didn't like drink myself into alcoholic stupor every night, so I was able to be there for that moment, right? So I think if there's anything good, I think it's just being ready for the moment. That's what unblackmailable is to me, is just being ready for the moment at all times. The energy is there, like as much as I can get, and the moment, you're in the moment, you're actually there. You're not fooling yourself with a bunch of bullshit that you care about things. You're not wasting, your life is not a house of cards, mentally or physically or whatever. Most people, it's just like cards, you just pull one card out, the whole thing falls down. Coronavirus, perfect example, right? And so your life is not a house of cards, mentally, physically, emotionally, friendship-wise, or whatever. And not because that's good, not because you get a gold medal, gold star. It's just because that gives you the instinct in the moment, like the kid in the road, right? That you just are the one person who's able to go grab the kid and grab him off the road. You were alert. Some other guy had like 8 candy bars and he was in a sugar high. He was like not even thinking clearly, right? Whereas you were like, holy shit, that kid's going to get hit. That's it. Listening to the bugs here. It's just being in the moment. Being here. And then trusting yourself. And you will care about things. But they're not that they're like any deep meaning. It's just that you care and you do it and you move on. Because you don't care. Like, for example, you save the kid in the road. Now, you could stay around and be in the newspaper. You could write a book about it. You could be a big hero to a bunch of people or whatever. Or you could just save the kid, give him to his parents, and then, maybe have dinner with him and then leave, And you could do that too, right? And you could be alert for the next thing that you're going to do, whatever it is. Something nice. It's something that you feel a care about. So I think that the opposite of nihilism is that you actually will find yourself caring about stuff, but avoid the need for deep meaning. Like avoid that need where you're like, I care about this because this and that and this and men and women and society and this and justice and this and that. It's like, no, you just you care about very few things, but you know yourself more and more what you care about, and you're able to care. Like, does somebody even care? Like, okay, I eat 50 candy bars and I'm all sugared out here, and a kid falls off here and breaks his head, and I'm in a playground right now, right? So kid falls down, and I'm just kind of like, guys will never admit that they ignored a kid falling, but that's what most people do. Every time I'm in an emergency, everybody's checking their phone, they're just doing something. Now, they won't admit they don't care about the kid, but they don't. They care more about 8 candy bars or whatever it is. Those extra beers at night, or doing something else that caused them to be in this position of not being alert, right? Whatever it is, arguing with somebody, screaming about something, whatever the fuck, And so I think the honesty is that you realize you really don't care about a lot of stuff, and then you might even think that you wasted all this energy caring about things you don't care about and not caring about things you really do care about, You might find that's very likely the situation, because whenever you have like an abortion of a life, it's just like it's like a shit show. It's going to be a lot of mess in there. It's like a warehouse full of broken shit. You got to clean it all out. And if you're lucky, you're going to find some good shit in there, right? You're going to say, oh, holy crap, this is like a really cool machine. We can sell this. You're doing inventory, right? You inventory what's in there. So I think when you do that cleaning inventory, where you can pretend like your warehouse is full of valuable things, right? But actually, there's just like everything's garbage in there, except for like a couple things, right? And then you could just say, you could go in and clean everything out, find those things, and then focus on those things. So if I was going to say is like, this is a very strange review of the book, but I think that death is inevitable. Death sucks, I face the fact that death sucks, right? And I face the fact that nobody will remember me, right? But I also care about things as I move through my life, right? And that's what a living thing does. Like, are birds bad because they don't care about some social movement right now? Like, are dogs bad? They don't care. Dogs don't even think about it, right? Are they bad? Are you suddenly bad because you're human and you don't care about this catalog of issues, and you're supposed to care in a certain way and a certain time, a certain amount, the right words? Make sure you Google it so you have the right words. Then you don't know. Birds are great, You're great. Just like a dog and a bird. You're like a dog and a fucking bird, The dog is like, wakes up in the morning, he doesn't even know there's a war going on. All he looks around, his bowl's empty. He's like, what the fuck's going on? Like, when's he gonna wake up? That's you. You're just kind of like cruising through life. The birds like, they might cut some of these trees down to make the park half size. The birds are like, oh man, can't use that tree. Over here, they're just kind of like doing their thing, right? You're the same way, right? So I think the denial of death is something that I think, like I said, I think there's going to be more for me to learn on this book. But I think the two things that I really got out of it is, one of them is that I'm going to die and it sucks, and to accept that. Like, it's really probably the most painful thing in life, just to realize that you will no longer be here. I know that there's someone's going to say, oh, if you think this, if you do this, it's going to be easy. Yeah. That's all I can say to that. Yeah. The truth is, it's not good. It's not fun. It's not beautiful, and you don't like it. Nobody wants to not be here. It's like, you'll never be at another party. You'll never be on another road trip. You'll never be hearing another bird. You'll never be, you know what I mean? That sucks. Like, I want to keep going. I want to just keep experiencing more and more shit, right? I've experienced a lot of things that I want to experience more, and new things I've never experienced before, or old things in a new way, like with a whole new eye, I want to keep this trip, we just went through Louisiana. I've been here once before. It's awesome. I was so glad to be there again. I wish we could have spent more time, but I want to keep doing this stuff. But I realize that there'll be a moment when I won't. And I guess for myself, part of being a man is just accepting the reality. I don't have to fool myself. I don't need to do some little hand job thing to make myself feel better. I can just say, okay, this sucks. I want to be in this park forever. I want to be in another park forever. I want to be in another, eating a mango forever. But at some point I won't. So I guess I could try to let that influence me. People take a truth, right? They're like, oh, you're going to die. Okay, so you have to go on this trip. You have to do this. No, none of that. Just, you're going to die and it sucks. That totally sucks. And then what you do with that is not going to come from all the lies and all the jerk offs you're going to do yourself. It's going to come with whatever you're going to do with that. Maybe you're going to do nothing. Maybe you're going to go deeper in isolation. I don't know. But for myself, I just want to be more like a spider, like light, like a kitten, like a spider, like a, just like ready to go. Well, whatever the fuck's going on. Where are you guys going? I'll go. Let's go. Let's try it.
Yeah, so, hey, it's chime time. about what you were saying about the Earth's core, like being warm and hot and whatever, and it's just kind of basic. It's just a rock in the middle, right? It's until you add all the extra shit that it gets complicated and sometimes no good. Like, nobody wants a volcano, but it's like a necessary part of life and what it means to be the Earth, and like kind of who you are, because at the core you're just a person, but you have all these experiences that add on to it. I am. Okay. Yeah. Or I have a lot of stuff. Yeah. Like going on. Yeah. But I mean, I sympathize with all humanity. Like we're all in this together. This is all everything that we go.
I don't know if I do that. I don't think so. No, okay. Because I might at some moment have some like passing thing of sympathy for all of humanity, but generally, I have the sympathy.
Yeah. No.
Humanity's too big for me. I can't even understand humanity.
But like, it's the complications in our lives.
Maybe dogs are more simple.
Well, the dogs are more simple, and they don't really have as many of the pressures or the problems of believing a certain thing.
No logic. I'm just saying I care about dogs a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And cats and shit. And any animal is near me. So like a human is an animal. I like animals near me. I like them, But the ones that are really far away, I can't really sympathize with them because I don't know them.
Yeah,
there's no emotion there for me,
and that's hard. It's hard to grasp, or it's not even relative, or even value. Like what the stuff in your life is the things that affect you the most.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking for myself. I can care, like if I don't know anybody, and then they get close to me, like kind of like we were going to people's houses, right? When I first meet them, we went to Gia's house, right? At first, I didn't care. I didn't know her, right? I didn't have any emotions, right? But now I kind of understand her a bit, She's like a very unique person, right? So I care more than I cared before, But it's just because I was near this animal,
Mm-hmm.
This animal was near that animal, and then I just found myself some kind of emotion comes up with knowledge or something, or I can kind of see her flaws and her virtues and everything, and I can kind of sympathize with that, somehow, like there's some kind of an emotional feeling that comes up with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the farther I'm away from it, the more it'll go away. So it's like that song. One of my favorite fucking songs from the 60s. Love the One You're With. This fucking song is heavier than you think. If you can't be with the one you love the one you're with. I think that's kind of the music, the song for my life. Love the one you're with.
It's all that you can, though. You can only love the person you're with. You can't love the person you're not with.
Maybe logically, yeah. I don't know what it is, but all I know is like, it's like, if you want to love me, you got to be with me. You got to be close by. Because like, you can try to pretend you're loving people way the fuck over there. People have these like relationships like on the internet, right? They don't have a relationship. There's no fucking relationship.
It's just pretend,
Yeah.
If it's far away, it's just pretend. If it's within your reach or within your grasp, that's an action.
Drink and Dave said something interesting the other day. I called him. I haven't talked to him in years, but I just was thinking about him. I talked about it in a couple episodes, and I called him in New York, and his dad just died, and he just he's like in a good position right now. He's like feeling good. He's gone through a lot of stuff, but he's like in a good way. And he said, I said, hey, I'm going on this tour. Let's fucking meet up. He's in New York. I said, let's fucking meet up. And he's like, yeah. He's like, you know what? He goes, hell yeah. He goes, his judgment for whether somebody's a friend is like on Facebook, he will ask if they want to get together. And if they don't want to get together, he's like, that's not a friend. Like, they're no longer a friend. Like, whatever that is that he considers friendship is somebody who's willing to meet up, who wants to meet up, who actually wants physically to meet him at some point. And that's a pretty interesting line for him. Like, anybody who doesn't want to meet up with him is not a friend anymore. So maybe somebody had a friend in high school, then he emails the guy and he's always like busy and he never has time. He's like, well, that's no longer a friend for him, So he's got that's his like line there, and I like that. But I like to love when you're with. So anybody around me, I can love. It's like you're in my vicinity, then it's like it's on, But as soon as somebody gets too far away, it's off. It's not there.
Hey, just make sure this is still recording.
Oh yeah, it's recording. Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and then the other thing, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper back into the conversation where, like you as I, as a red pill person, can sometimes build myself into a corner for sure. Like you were saying that there's people who like build counters like a certain height. And what's ironic about that is that I've thought that, I was like, oh, my sink is too short.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's actually it must be designed for a small person. And the worst part is when you like really work yourself into a corner. Like the most useful tool that I have in my basement of tools is probably a hammer. Like it could do a bunch of stuff. It's very simple, and there's like really complex power tools that I've had plumbers come to my house and they see these woodworking tools and they're like, I'm afraid of that. That's crazy. Like that's complicated. I need to even learn how to use that thing. Like how do you even plug it in? Simple stuff works. Complicated stuff can get in the way, and it can be so distracting from like what you really want, and sometimes it gets in the way. Like you get caught up in these loops.
I like
especially these ways of thinking. Like
I like simple things, not because they're great or anything. It's like for me, if I have, let's say, a bunch of like specific tools for certain purposes, right? Then I have to maintain all that shit. So I know behind those, I like those things. I like the fact that they make all these like unique things that do special things now, right? It's cool. I mean, I like innovation. I think it's great. But if I'm going to own them, right, then it requires like me to settle down. It requires me to spend a lot of money, work all the time. It requires me to learn how to use these different machines. Whereas like if I can do it all with a hammer, or basically like some oatmeal and some garlic and some turmeric and a hammer and sweet potatoes and like, if I can, and beans, if I can get it all done with that stuff, I'm much less tied down to one location. That's why I don't like those things. Just because they tie me to one look. I don't like cars and houses and power tools and expensive stereos and TVs. Not because they're not great. Like I love to go in someone's house and see those things. Like I'd love to use a power tool. Like this friend of mine had this thing, it was a water sprayer that was so powerful it could cut things in half. Like it was fucking cool, right? You could just, apparently there's one you can cut metal in half. But anyway, like I don't really want to own that shit because it's just like, it's going to tie me down. Whereas I don't need that stuff to, a hammer, I can just put it in my backpack and even mentally just put it in my backpack. And I can use those things, but at the heart of it, I don't need any of that. I don't need to, my brain doesn't need to waste any energy on that. I think your energy is probably so important, right? Your focus, right? Those things, they cause you to have this RAM memory being used, worrying about they're stolen or broken or someone's, they're going to get old or they're maintained properly, like diamond saw and all this bullshit, So I think that's why I don't like those things.
Yeah, and then also like back to the...
Unless I rent them.
Yeah.
Like I rent them, they're cool.
Oh yeah, it's because then you don't have to be responsible anymore. It doesn't get in the way.
Well, you're responsible, but you're responsible for renting them.
Yeah, you're responsible when you need to be.
For maintaining.
You don't have to be responsible all the time.
But you're paying.
And then like where you said at the center of the earth is good. Like the more stuff that you get off center, the less good you are. The less balanced you are.
I think
like
so.
The earth is balanced. It's equilibrium at the core. Like when you add stuff to it, like you've got to balance it out, and that's like a lot of work. And if it's not balanced out, it's not good. It's not good.
The natural balance, your natural desires and your natural being is good. And this goes to society's narrative, is that men are not good at the core. That is what society is telling us.
There's no way.
It's telling young boys
good at the core.
Yeah, that's what they're telling us. And that is an important thing to realize, that it's probably, I would have to say, and it's not about them. I'm talking about for you now. Mm-hmm. Forget about changing the world, just for yourself. You realize that it's probably the most destructive belief you could possibly have, is that core of yourself is not good. Because it's not that it's good in the sense of morals good. It's what it's supposed to be. Like a bird or a dog. It's supposed to be molten lava. You have what it takes to be what you're supposed to be. It's all there. Don't fuck it up. Like it's just there. And whatever that is, it's enough. That being of yourself, you'll see it later when you have a life and it ends. You'll realize, oh wow, I did all these things. But it was you. It was that core of you that did it, right? So the core is good. Even if nobody believes in you, even if everybody thinks you're bad, even if like everybody tells you you're bad. Like I think a lot of guys on this channel actually don't think they're good. A lot of people. It's not just society tells them. It's a lot of religion tells you that. A lot of Philosophers will tell you that. They'll say, well, you're not good unless you do this. I would say go the opposite. Look at a lake, look at a star, look at a bird, look at a dog, and realize that they are good. They are good in being what they are. They are beautiful. And you are exactly the same. You're exactly the same. That same peaceful lake of methane, like on one of Uranus's moons, that is you. You're just a lake of methane or whatever. You are what you're supposed to be, just like you are.
So like, you're good at the core. It's low maintenance because the core is good, right? It's all the stuff on top of it that complications that require maintenance and to be worked on. But you yourself at the center, low maintenance doesn't really. That's hard to mess up. It's the stuff on top of that
it's like a sunrise or a sunset or a lake. They are good. There's no judgment like, oh, sunsets are terrible, right? They're just sunsets. Right? They're lakes, they're sunsets, they're leaves, they're birds, they're rocks, they're sticks, they're branches. They're doing the thing they're supposed to do. You are just like that. There's nothing else to say. A man is beautiful. What he is at the core is good. And the only way that you can kind of live a good life, I think, is by, if you hate yourself, how can you live your destiny? Like, how can you do good things? Like, you can talk all this shit, but if you think you're bad at the core, that's where you need to work on, because you know what I'm saying? Like, if the dog didn't trust being dog was good, he'd start trying to wear a suit or something. Like, it doesn't make sense. The dog's supposed to just, be a dog, right? He's not a cat. He's not a leaf. He's not a branch. He's a dog, right? And I think that's, and the dog's going to die. The dog is good, and the dog's going to die. Accepting all of it, and just being alert and ready for the moment. I think that's what it is. Being alert for what life throws at you, whether it's financially, mentally, friendship-wise, emotionally, physically, whatever. Just doing your best to be that healthy dog that's ready for shit. Eventually the dog gets old and dies. That's it. And somebody gets another dog, That's it. That's life.
Well, so I feel like that's a way to, like, what we're talking about is a way to accept who you are.
I think it's to find who you are.
Before death. Yeah. Well, yeah. Find who you are, or understand who you are.
You find who you are by stripping away this stuff. And this stuff does not come from society. This isn't from the media. It's not from a politician. It's not from women. It's not from feminism. I'm talking about you. You're the one that's full of shit. You're the one. It's you. It's not other people. The only way you can fix yourself is you. You can't fix yourself by destroying some movement that's happening in France or something, or helping this. You can only do it yourself. So you're the one that you need to work on. You're the one that needs to understand who you are, what you care about, and accept that is good. Like, you'll be afraid. Like, you'll be like, oh my gosh, if I don't do this, that's natural too. It's natural to have fear. It's natural to, these things are not easy. I'm not saying like it's as easy as getting a fucking pound of crayfish. It's not. But it's once you start on that path, you'll realize there is no other path. Like, that's it. There's no other path, right? It's like, find out who you are, realize that you're good, find out why you're this way, and be alert for the moment. And do the things that you care about in the moment. You'll care about stuff. What you'll find yourself, the healthier you are, the more mentally the desk is clean. You'll find yourself caring about shit more, actually, I think. You'll just be like, whatever it is, you'll just be like, I don't like that. You'll have opinions. You'll no longer be this like milk toast person. And it's not based on having an opinion. It's actually based on the core of the earth. It's actually a feeling, it's like deep in there. It's a belief. It's a being. It's something like comes out of you. And you don't even know logically why you want to save that baby or whatever, or why you want to like do something, but it is what you want to do. And if you want to do it, again, center of the earth, all good. Some people write poetry. Some people, like that we watched Dirtbag, the movie the other day. That was Fred Becky, great story. He just wanted to climb mountains, right? And that was his thing. That was his life, you know. And they showed it, you know, how in the end he couldn't do it and he was still trying, and that was him, you know. What's your story, you know? You're not Fred Becky, but what that guy was very simple. He was awesome.
So like the question is, what is your story? And again, earlier in the conversation we were talking about how there's like a lot of like blue pill things, autopilot things, like holidays that we just kind of go along with.
It's your story,
or,
not their story.
Yeah.
It's China.
Okay, no. So
you know,
yeah. My story. So I found that in my life that I've just gone along with a bunch of things, and it seems like it's easy, but it actually complicates my life. You know, like there's like all kinds of patterns that you have to do for holidays. There's like different mentalities, like support the troops, you know, respect your elders, and
be a New Yorker.
Yeah, what does it mean to be a New Yorker?
Or be a Puerto Rican?
Yeah,
What does it mean to be this? Now you might care about that one. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But like a lot of things we do, like I used to care about being Finnish because my family's Finnish. I don't really care about being Finnish anymore. Like I used to really care about it when I was a kid. It was a big part of my self-esteem. Once I went to Finland a few times, you know what did it for me is I was in an elevator in Hong Kong, and there was this Finnish couple. Back in '89, there was a Finnish couple, and I was talking about Finland and my parents and this and that, grandparents. And the guy looked at me. He was a total dick, by the way, but it helped me actually. He goes, "Are you Finnish? Are you American?" Something like that. And I looked at him. I go, "I'm fucking American," and I made a decision, you know. Now, and again, it's just a word, okay? It's just a word, and words mean shit. But it was like I was fake. You know, I was this like Finnish guy. I hate these guys who are Irish. Everybody's fucking Irish. Everybody's fucking Scottish. Hey, if you believe that, you know, take it to the next level. Stop, just get the shit out of you. I'm not Finnish. Like my family's Finnish. I look Finnish. I like Finland. You know, I respect the place. I mean, really, I've been there many times, and it's a cool place. You know, but I'm not. You know, I can let that go. I don't have to be like my whole life like talking about being Finnish, have a Finnish sticker on my car, you know, talk about being. I mean, it might be interesting if you have something to say about Finland. I'm not against it or anything. Like, I actually know something about the place. I've been there, know a few words, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I was able to let that one go. That was a big one for me, you know, just let that one go because it came from my parents. Because my parents care about that. My brother married a Finnish girl, you know, so you know, from Finland, right? And so you know, like. My family, they took it seriously, you know. All of us have been to Finland many times, you know. But like for myself, I realized at some point, like, I realized my personality came from more from like Daniel Boone and fucking the pioneers and the fucking like some of the pioneering surfers and like rock climbers and those kind of guys, you know. That's where that's more where I come from, you know. I don't come from a flag or like blue and white, or I don't come from like some kind of food somewhere that I never lived, really, you know, some kind of fish or some knife that is really handy or something, you know. That's not where I mean, it's all good if somebody did come from that. I know there's a lot of listeners from every country, right? But where did you come from? Like, stop fooling yourself. Like, who you are. I tell you, if you go after this episode and say, well, I'm Scottish and stuff, you've never been to Scotland, or you're so full of shit. God, I hate that. The one thing I hate about Boston, everybody's fucking Irish, you know? Like, everybody's fucking Irish. Irish guys laugh at you. Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
You're like
I know this from the racetrack.
You're like an idiot to them. They're like, as long as you give money to Ireland and you go and spend a bunch of money in hotels and food, they're going to play along with you. But you look like a fool. You look like a total fool. To yourself too. like these are the things, and it's okay to look like a fool. See, the thing is, if you're listening to this and you're like, fuck you, I don't look like you, you're like, wait a second, I do look like a fool. It's okay. That's the whole point. The whole point is being fucking honest, okay? It's not about being perfect and letting go of the shit that's in your mind.
It's all
super embarrassing.
It's all extra, you know. It's more than what's at your core level.
But it's like, what I'm saying is, like, the only way you get to better is by realizing you're an idiot. Like, you don't get to better by just polishing the edges. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be honest about it and look at yourself honestly, and you realize you're doing a bunch of dumb things you don't want to do. There's one more thing you can take out. It's one more thing that you can get honest about. It's, it's just one more thing you can forever forget. Like, if you let yourself laugh at yourself, and how, like, throw away your fucking Irish hats, throw away your green suit, throw away your fake I'm Irish, throw away your stories of Uncle so-and-so leprechaun bullshit, throw it away and laugh at yourself. Like, what a fucking fool I've been. Now, you might go be the opposite. You might say, you know what? I am fucking Irish. And I'm going to move to Ireland. I'm going to do this. I'm really interested in this. I'm but I'm not saying what the answer is for you. But a lot of people are full of shit. And it's okay. That's the thing. I'm not here to give you a hand job. Like, everybody on this podcast is awesome. All those people are stupid over there. No, we're stupid. Right? And by facing the fact that you're stupid is what allows you to change. There's no other way to change than realize you're being a complete idiot. That's the way you change. That's the badge of honor in Ronin, man, is by being an idiot. You realize, oh my God, I'm an idiot again. What was I thinking? That's how you change. Is that ego fucking busting that ego, Like, I wasn't finished. Who was I fooling? I wasn't finished at all. And in fact, I was lying because my dad does not speak fluent Finnish. I used to tell people that. He doesn't. He speaks a little bit of knick-knack Finnish, you know what I mean? Like, he's not even Finnish, It's not till you get to my grandfather who speaks fluent Finnish, and he was born in America in a Finnish-speaking village. And then my grandmother was from Finland. But the rest of them were just in a Finnish-speaking village. They were like growing up in Little Tokyo or something, really, They're not Japanese, It's like they're Japanese-American, We're Finnish-American, whatever that is. If you want to use a word. Sometimes words are helpful. Sometimes they're not. In this case, it's kind of helpful. It gives you an explanation, yeah.
In the example of the woman who was obsessed with trees, I at one time was obsessed.
Not obsessed. She cares about
she
trees.
cares.
That's what I'm saying. Like, she actually, at the core of her, the only thing she really cares about is trees. Like, it's not like a fake. She cares about trees.
Oh, yeah.
And she gets super sad. Like, some tree was taken down. Some tree's growing. She's super happy. Like, trees are like, that's what she cares about. It's embarrassing. Like, of all the things to care about, she cares about trees in the neighborhood, and she cares about trees in the city. She cares about trees on vacation. She'd be here looking at the trees, She'd probably be saying, like, look at all these trees. They're all the same. Somebody must have cut down the real trees. That's so sad because these are just, planted here, That's what she'd be thinking. Because she'd be like, oh, there's a tree that was natural here. And these ones here are probably planted, right? Because these are like pines or whatever,
And I used to... And I still do to a degree, but not as much because it just was just too distracting for me. I cared a lot about Syria, and when they were, like, around 2015, 2016, there was a whole bunch of issues where these foreign national countries, whether they were localized countries or on the other side of the planet, were, like, entering this country and causing refugee crisis and messing things up. If these foreigners weren't in Syria, maybe they'd have a localized problem, but it just like felt like it was just adding fuel to a fire that was already going. And I really believed that I understood it, and I was trying to understand everything, and I was keeping up on the news, keeping up on whatever information I could get on it. And I had to stop because it was just, I couldn't be balanced as a person because it was too distracting. I had other things I had to do, like my job, for example. right. And just, pay attention to my family, and be happy, there's so many things worth being about, and to be balanced and just look more insightfully into my core and what made me good. And while that movement and paying attention to that and my level of awareness is a good thing, it's probably helpful, but I wasn't really being helpful in a constructive manner. Like, there was nothing I was doing.
You didn't really care.
Yeah. It turns out that I didn't really care because I wasn't doing anything about it.
Well, no, it's not because. It's just like you just didn't care as much as you thought. Maybe you cared for a while, and then you try to take it to the next level. Like, you can dissect it yourself, but maybe like a lot of times we care about things, and then, like, for example, I might be in an area traveling and I really care about something when I'm there, and as I get farther away from it, I care less. Like, I'm love the one you're with, so if I'm here, I'm gonna care about this area, right? That's kind of the way I am. I found I care about shit that's around me, that's real, Whereas the farther I get from stuff, the more I just don't care. Like, Not that again, it's not a judgment. It's just maybe that is the way people are. Maybe that's like a truth for a lot of people, is you can only care about things that are real for you around you, right? But I was just thinking of something when you were saying about Syria, is be careful if all the things you care about are super intellectual and make you look good. Like, for example, I could pretend I care about, I could lie if I wanted to, and I've done this. I've definitely done this in my life, calling myself out here. I've cared about things that make me look smart, So like I might know some history about China or something, right? And then I can just talk about it, and it sounds really good to people, right? It's like, wow, this kid from America cares about this, but a lot of it was just ego, because I was, I'm not stupid, right? So I'm smart enough to memorize things, and I'm smart enough to learn things, and I've done enough stuff that I could care about things that sound really great, and that would make people go, wow, But again, it's just more, it's another trap, really. It's another trap for me, not for them. For me, it's another trap, because in the end, there was this brilliant physicist, right? And he said that he was teaching his students. I can't remember what book that I was reading recently, but anyway, the guy said that the one thing that's really real for him is when he sleeps at night, that makes him feel the best, is his wife's bum against him when he's sleeping. She would just get it next to him, and he would feel comfortable, and he would sleep good, with his wife's bum against him, right? And that was the most real thing to him. Now, this is a brilliant physicist who could go on about things that he really cares about, make you really think great things, but he's just going to tell you when you meet him, that makes him feel really secure. Because that's what makes him feel secure, not because any other reason. That's at the core of his earth right now, right? But he could talk about stuff they would like Nobel Prize shit or whatever, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, he's this brilliant. But actually, that is true too. But what he cares about is like some simple things, right? So be careful if everything you care about, if you quote unquote care about, is like really important or like super complex, or other people around you, you find yourself always having to teach them about this thing you care about. Just look at your ego and say, wait a second, I know this. And I understand the complexity and the sadness of whatever this atrocity that happened or whatever. Okay, that's fine. I'm not saying it's, if you're smart, you're going to know a lot of shit, and you might care a little bit for a moment, but just beware if everything you care about makes you look good, because your wife's bum doesn't make you look good, but a lot of that simple stuff is just stuff that's just real simple. It doesn't make you look good. It's just down there, so just beware of that one. It's a trap, being honest with what you really care about will give you the most freedom, I think, to change and to grow into a person that's more. You've cleaned off another layer. You know what I mean? Your engine is revving much better now. It's like no longer, it's not pinging, right? It's like, wing. Just goes straight up like a type R, ring, straight up to the top, right? Because it's clean, right? It's running good. You want your engine like that. You don't know what you're going to do with it, but if it runs good, you can do good shit. So I'm gonna end it on that and just say thank you very much for watching, and we will have some probably Pensacola video if we find some cool shit around here to film.
A little bit on this walk. Our main moves right now. What's today's date actually?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I can address this on my other phone.
Yeah.
So today's date is the 24th. On the 1st, we're gonna try to be in the Ozarks, like a little bit before the summit. I think. Try to come on the 2nd.
We'll be there one day first. And then if you're coming early, technically it's the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I think. But you can come on the 2nd maybe, and then stay until the 7th.
Yeah, and you're probably not going to come at the beginning of the day. If you do, whatever, you might see us setting up or preparing things.
We'll try to pick people at the airport if you're coming in. We'll try to do that. We can't guarantee it, but so far, all the summits, everybody's been taken care of all the time. So
yeah, there's already been talks and coordinating of picking people from the airports already, weeks in advance. Between now and the 1st, we are looking at Memphis, Tennessee, and we are also looking at Tampa, Florida. So whether we're going to come back to Florida or not, or just go north, closer towards the Ozarks, and then on the way there. So we have like 7 days between now and then.
So if you know anybody in Memphis who wants to hang out, has a place we can crash, that would be good. We probably have a place, so we probably don't even need it. But meeting more people is good, right? Just in case, you never know. Plus, we'll see another side of Memphis.
Yeah, even if you just want to hang out, like we're going to be there, so like or around, come hang out. You know, that's what's up. We've met so many people on this trip.
Oh yeah. And what was the other thing I was thinking? Let me think. Something else really important actually. Keep talking. I'll think of something else I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, like basically what we've been doing. Our interests are just hiking, boating, water. We could use a beach day.
Kayaking. We went out one night. We went out to like a bar street one night. That was fun. You know, like tons of chicks. We fucking, yeah, we had, you weren't there, but Redondo Beach was fucking hilarious. I can't really say the details of that night, but it was hilarious. Really fun. Let's just say South Central is the word for the day. South Central chicks.
And then in Austin, we were in Austin for like a week or more. Oh my gosh. We were at 6th Street.
3 different houses, three different people,
different houses,
3 different lifestyles, 3 different ecosystems. Yeah.
And it's snowballs because like people were hitting us up as we were in the city, and they're like, before we left, they're like, no, don't go. Stay. You stay with me. We'll put you up. Like this is insane. We want to meet you. We want to hang out. And we do work with people and there's a lot of talks that we have that we do not record. Just because it's in the moment or it's like really personal, and it's like such a huge advantage to seeing us in person.
For sure. But the big thing is come to the summit, because the summit is where guys are really bringing their best. You know, because when you're hanging out is good, but like it's like the difference. Like let's say your friend is like some brilliant physicist, right? You don't want to bother him with physicist questions all the time, because that's his work, right? That's his focus. It takes a lot of energy. He goes out. You want to see him at a conference. You want to see him at his best as a friend, and then also up on stage presenting his brilliant ideas in his way, like in a totally different mindset, where he's like teaching you about physics, right? You know what I mean? Like, so there's 2 ways to do everything, and they're both good. There's the casual way of hanging out with Albert Einstein, and the other thing is watching him on stage and hearing him, his actual presentation, and debating other people. Maybe not Einstein, because Gia hates Einstein, but she thinks he's a total idiot. Yeah, and I think that's great. She has good logic too. We'll have to get her on talking about that kind of stuff, like who really nailed it in the history and who didn't. She's brilliant on that kind of stuff. But again, you just use him as an example. But you get different things when you're in where everybody's like at the summit. We're doing something special. We're trying to do something special. We're really, change is in the air. People are calling each other out. There's a bonding that's totally different than just going to a pancake place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a meeting of the minds, and
true.
Huge. The people are the BS filter. You can't just like drop something on people and then have that just be accepted. Everyone's gonna be like working constructively towards the best possible outcome and the best way to think collectively, like actually
the things that make it happen are often totally unpredictable. Like when Hamish called his girlfriend or his ex-wife, and then he left the phone on speaker, and we all heard the way she was talking to him. We all heard everything, and it changed the whole. It was like the first day of the summit, and everybody got more honest after that. Because what happens is you can be all this like tough guy and stuff, but when you actually hear the embarrassing way you're living, you know, that was like really cool. Like that was so fucking awesome of him, and it made the summit just go after that, because everybody's like, okay, you know, like none of this fucking perfect made up bullshit. You know, it's like, no, man, the reason why we're here is because we want to get better. Not because we're perfect.
Pierce the facade, that artificial shell. You know, like what the just fake faces, and just get right into what your needs are and what you want to work on.
And who's going to be the guy who's going to make it happen at the next summit, right? It's going to be somebody's just going to say something, and everybody's going to be like, you know, it's kind of happening at every summit.
It's the environment to work on things. Like you just jump into it. It's so easy. It's so inviting.
There's 2 summits. So there's one in let's see, 3rd, 4th, 5th in Ozarks. In what's the city near? Is it Lafayette? Near Lafayette?
It's like the northwest of Arkansas.
Northwest Arkansas. I'll get you the details in the link below. And then in New York, we don't know the dates yet, but what part of Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, Brooklyn, New York is going to be the New York City Summit, and we're thinking of dates like if we want to do it within 3 weeks, if we want to do it more than
after Ozarks,
3 weeks after the Ozarks.
We're not sure. So August.
Yeah. So like, it could be late July, it could be early August, you know?
Okay. So right around there, and that'll be in Brooklyn. And it's a cool area, right? It's like a happening area.
Yeah, it's a happening area. Things are opening up there. Things are coming back to normal. We're keeping an eye on everything. Seriously, we've been very flexible, and things are happening. It's been exciting. Like this whole trip, we've seen nothing but positivity everywhere. Everywhere we went, like things flourishing, growing, coming back to life.
Yeah, we got a real on-the-ground view of America, you know,
yeah,
of what actually is going on.
Yeah, we're seeing everything.
Right, good and bad. Austin, we saw some bad.
Yeah, we saw some homelessness.
We definitely saw like the way that the riots have destroyed certain parts of the city. They're not coming back.
Yeah, busy areas that like haven't come back to flourishing again.
Dude, 6th Street, like the
Stunting.
ATMs are still broken with axes or whatever. Somebody smashed them out and like got the money out. So like the whole 6th Street is pretty sad actually right now. It doesn't feel safe, 6th Street. It used to be so fun, 6th Street. You know, I was there before dancing with Julian. We were laughing our butts off. Like it was like paradise, like so cool. It felt really, really good. This time, cops everywhere, kind of like violent feeling, dangerous feeling, no tourists hardly, you know, empty restaurants with music blaring but like empty, you know. So 6th Street was definitely in a totally different. Now Rainy Street was different. Rainy Street had a good vibe, which is right nearby.
Yeah, so it was really confusing how just like a few blocks away, things like all the good people gravitated towards one street, and all the negative people gravitated towards just another street. That's such an interesting vibe.
Right. It was like once they're very close by, like half mile away or whatever. Rainy Street was totally happening. The girls were out, you know.
Not even a half mile. It was like a quarter mile.
Right.
Like it was really short distance.
Right.
So like we pick up on the vibe. Like we'll never steer you wrong. We'll never steer ourselves wrong. I mean, we have this whole tour that we got to keep ourselves together for.
We actually really saw 6th Street really well because the guy we stayed with, Kenji, he had an apartment right above 6th Street. So we actually not only walked down the street at night, we went back in the daytime and we went to his apartment. So we got to talk to people that were living there. We really saw 6th Street had really changed. So it's interesting what's going on right now. You know, it's like there's signs of life. And there's signs that are going down, right? There's both, right?
Yeah, like we've passed through like towns that seem like ghost towns. Like, I mean, yeah, it's the summertime and school's out, but like some of these school areas were just totally
school areas
empty.
are dead. They're dead.
Totally empty.
Fucking dead. Anything
like
around
football
the
fields.
school.
No one's playing ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's practicing. Nobody's out there. Like, yeah, schools are like. That's interesting, actually, because schools are a dead zone right now.
Yeah, but the rivers, I've never seen so many kayakers in my life.
Right.
I've never seen so many cyclists in my life.
Yeah, like the sunset jog places, they're happening.
Oh, yeah, parks for sunset, happening.
Right.
Right. Nationwide.
Everybody's out. Everybody's, like, enjoying. Schools dead. Malls are just starting to open. Gyms are starting to open. We went to a gym the other day. That was great.
Yeah. That was.
I mean, there was a lot of weird stuff, like, you know, mask in the gym. We had to wear a mask all in the gym while we're working out and everything. You're breathing through the mask.
Oh, I didn't have to because I have a medical problem, but I have my broken nose.
My religion, so I had my, you know, no. But you had to wear a mask, you know. It was like, yeah, it's interesting what's going on. We're seeing, like, again, everybody's like not living life. Like, we're living life. Fuck it, you know. Come live life, you know. Fuck it.
Yeah, and then
wear your mask or whatever. Be careful, whatever, you know.
We're going on the river. We're going on the river in Ozarks, so we're doing really cool stuff. It's not like we're gonna be constrained or anything.
No, I think it's good. I think
we're always gonna figure out what to do.
Right.
We always have. We have the whole trip. We're always going to.
I think there's more of a gratitude for people right now getting together, you know, because people have not gotten together for a long time. They haven't been able to be social, right? So we respect everybody. So if you have a certain way you want to act, maybe you want to have like, so let's say you want to be in Ozarks, but you want to have your own Airbnb in your own place. That's totally cool. That's totally cool. That'd be great. In fact, that might even be helpful. To have a separate place somebody wants to be at. If you want to rent a place with a pool, something like that would be good. Nothing wrong with that. But generally, no. It's we're getting together. We're having fun. We're gonna barbecue. We might even. Kenji had a shit ton of guns. He was like pulling out like AR-15s out of his backside, out of tennis rackets.
It was Texas. It was really Texas. Like we knew that like eventually.
Guns in my life.
Yeah, we were in California and Arizona, and the closer we got to Texas, the more we were like, oh yeah, we're probably gonna see some guns.
Everybody has like a weapon cache in their house. Like we'd be talking to them for like 3 days, and suddenly the topics of guns come up, and they would whip them out, start whipping out like loaded weapons all over the house. Like it's California is not like that.
Yeah, neither is New York.
Right. Yeah, you have people like that in California, but they're more unique. Like they're not. That's their thing, right?
Yeah, the best part about actually traveling too is just learning the environment and just seeing what's up. Like I think we keep talking about this crawfish moment, but it was just incredible.
Yeah.
We got off the highway just in this small, like locals only spot.
There was like a girl working there. She's like a full-on fucking local. Like she probably catches crawfish herself.
She taught us how to do it, and
Yeah.
she did it so perfectly. And we even taped me doing it, and I was like getting little morsels of meat. Like there's not much, but she maximized. She got as much as she could out of it, and I was just struggling. And quick, she got it quick.
You could sleep in the swamps with her. Yeah,
yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, you'll be safe.
Yeah. She would be
there by your side.
She'd be the Daniel Boone.
Her bum is the safest feeling of them all.
She'll be taking out whatever crocodiles or whatever coming along.
Yeah, so like definitely like come out to these summits. New place, new vibe. The whole world's new right now.
Yeah, it's all changing, right? Yeah. I like change. I don't mind. I like change.
And then people have been so welcoming, and you'll find yourself like needing some of this stuff. Like I had to get out of New York. I just had to get out. I had to, I felt stuck for so many months. I had to get out, and it was so good for me. I traveled actually twice. I traveled to Iowa first, and then I traveled to Arizona. And when I was in Iowa, the second I landed, I was like, oh, this is like the vibe is so much better here.
Dude,
like I'm where I need to be, away from like harsh vibes.
I'm so hungry. We got to go. All I had was turmeric and raw garlic this morning. It's about noon, and I'm fucking starving. So anyway, thanks so much for listening, guys, and I hope that was helpful. The book, the Ernest Becker's Denial of Death, you can get it on Amazon or whatever. I have the audiobook. It really is quite an interesting book. I hope I did a little bit of the concepts justice, although I didn't slavishly go over each topic, but it really is a fantastic book, and it gives you a lot to chew on. There's a lot of truth in that book. Not a lot of books have a lot of truth. There's a lot of truth in that book. It's a great book. If you never thought about death, don't be afraid of thinking about death, because you're probably, your subconscious